So, the sad thing about it is far too many of us have a Shanquella Robinson story. If anything positive can be taken away, is that most of us are still here to tell the story. Here's my Shanquella Robinson story. When I was 14, I was in the 8th grade. I wasn't a popular kid. I was really the opposite of popular, but I wasn't so uncool that I couldn't hang out around the popular kids. My best friend, she was very popular, so I was invited to places and doing things that the popular kids did just because my best friend. That meant that I was targeted for things, and I didn't understand it or necessarily see it then because I was a child. Even though I thought I was grown, I was a child. But now that I'm an adult, I realized that I found myself in a lot of situations just because I was the odd man out. And that in itself is a lesson that just because you're allowed to hang around the people doesn't mean you're of the people. So pay attention to that. But I was hanging around these kids, and one of the kids' parents went out of town for the weekend. So of course, for that weekend, his house became the party house. At that time in the 8th grade, I had dropped out of school for one reason or another, mostly because I wasn't looked after. So I was one of the only people who could hang out 24/7. My mom really didn't have much to say about anything I did, except for this one time. And as I reflect back in my life, I realized that my mom stepped in at the right times all the time. My mom knew, even though she didn't, she knew. Moms know. My mom, who never said anything about me going and doing things, I did whatever the I wanted to do. This one time, and oddly, I asked for permission. I never asked for permission. I was grown. But this one time I said, Mom, hey, one of my classmates is having a party down in Denver. We lived in Aurora at the time, down over in Denver. Can I go? And my mom said, no. You telling me no for? I don't even know why I asked you. I'm going. It's already done. I don't know. I was giving you a heads up. I don't know why I even talked to you about it. Like, that was the energy I was giving off. Yeah, I was a bad kid. Because she told me no. It's almost like she knew what was going to happen. She said, don't go. And even though she said, don't go, I was like, middle finger, I'm going anyway. And as I climbed into the taxi, my mom ran out the house after me and said, don't go. And it wasn't no, don't go. It was a beep, da beep, 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 da beep, beep, beep. My mom went just as hard as I did, so I'm not gonna make it seem like my mom was a saint and I was a hellraiser. Now we both went tit for tat. I go to the house. At this point, it's not a party. It's during the day. Everybody's in school except for the boy who's not in school because his parents are out of town, so he can ditch. And me, who's not in school because at this point I had dropped out, and his older siblings and friends because they weren't in school. So we're all standing around and we're standing in the kitchen and we're taking shots of malt liquor, 40 ounces. Now at this time I had been drinking for quite a while now. I started drinking gin, vodka. So I mentioned that detail to let you know I've been drinking by this time. So taking shots of malt liquor shouldn't affect me. And I only took like 2 or 3 shots. Hey, let's just say I took 5 shots. It's been decades, so who knows how many shots I actually took. Shots. Not 40 ounces. Not 5 40 ounces. 5 shots. Shouldn't have fazed me at all. Should have just been the excitement of, ooh, I'm underage drinking. Yay! That's what it should have been, but that's not what it was. All I remember was climbing in his bed. And then I woke up, sitting at the dining room table. What the fuck happened from when I got in his bed, and how the hell did I get at the dining room table? And I was with friends. Later on that night I woke up, or I came to, I should say. I become consciously aware. Is better because what I later found out, I was conscious the whole fucking time. I was awake the whole fucking time. But I don't remember any of it. To this day, I don't remember near thing. Guess it's the grace of God. Or the date rape drug they slipped me. Who knows? But when I woke up sitting at that table, I just lost my shit. I was like, get away from me. And these are things that I remember when my consciousness returned. Get away from me. And in Colorado, we had these storm doors. I'm sure they have them everywhere now, but back then they weren't everywhere. But we have these storm doors where there's locks on them in between the door and the outside. So I go up, I get up from the table, and at this time it's a full-fledged party popping. Everybody, it's the middle of the night, I don't know what time it is, but everybody's there. I get up and I run to the storm door and I'm like, let me out of here, let me out of here. And I start kicking the door, dun, 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 kicking the door, let me out of here. And they're like, stop, everybody's telling me to stop, stop, stop. And so they finally open the door, because it's like, open the door or let this girl break the door and have to tell my parents why the storm door is broken. So they let me out. This guy lived off of what would be considered a baseline or southern in Arizona. So it was a very busy street. I run out of his house and I run into the middle of the street and I turn around because they're chasing me. They're like, stop, stop, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, get away from me. And at no point in my head is any of this registering. Why am I deathly afraid of my friends? Why? I don't get it. So I run out into the street and I turn around. And as soon as I turn around, a car screeches and stops right here. Stops right in front of me, like literally one more inch and I'd be dead. And my friends grab me and they pull me out the street and I'm fighting them, get off of me. And then somebody in the group finally says, leave her alone, let her go. And they go in the house and ultimately I end up arrested. Definitely having a mental health episode that I wasn't treated like I was having a mental health episode. So anyway, I get arrested and I don't remember anything until I came to again handcuffed to a hospital bed. 14 years old, yeah. Handcuffed to a hospital bed and my mom was standing over me. And I thought that I was hallucinating because I'm like, first of all, did I get handcuffed to this hospital bed? And second of all, how the hell did my mama get here? I will say this, no matter how up me and my mom's relationship was, whenever I needed her, she was there. Without me even asking her, she was there. She wasn't there for me no other time. But any instances in my life where I needed where I needed my mother, she was there. So I wake up and I'm blinking and it's like in the movies. It's like black, light, black, light. Shadowy figure, my mom. Shadowy figure, LA, that was his name. Like, the fuck y'all doing here? My mom told me that when they arrested me, and apparently at the hospital, they kept asking me what my name was, and I kept saying her name and her phone number. And they said I kept repeating my mom's name and her phone number. My mom's name and her phone number. That's all I kept saying. They tell me, had they not been able to get in contact with my mom, they would have arrested me. A 14-year-old having a mental breakdown. Yeah, they would have locked me up. My mom didn't have a car. My mom rarely answered the phone. But that night, someone was there with the car, and my mom answered her phone. You know, and there's so many lessons in this one story if you pay attention. And even though bad things happen to us in life, somebody somewhere is looking out for us. And sometimes, as Jay-Z said, things don't happen to us, they happen for us. And sometimes those things are bad or perceived as bad. But those things that happen pivot our lives. And if we don't have the correct perspective, we'll miss it. I get home the next day. I wake up feeling completely groggy, hungover. At this point, I don't know what happened. I'm 14. I don't know what the hell's going on. I ain't never heard of a date rape drug. I was just like, how the hell did 5 shots of malt liquor get me like that? What the fuck happened? So I called the boy. And he's acting shifty on the phone. I call him because, one, I wanted to apologize for my behavior. And 2, because I left my jacket over there. It was a little dope-ass Reebok windbreaker type situation. You know, I wanted my fucking jacket back. So I call him and I apologize, and I'm profusely apologetic. Apologizing. I'm so sorry for my behavior. He's like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Blah, blah, blah. Trying to push me off, and I'm like, I get it. I acted the fool. I was barely in there, and I just blew it all up. You know, I get it. After that phone call, a friend of mine called me. She's like, girl, I heard what happened. Are you okay? And I'm like, what the fuck happened? Let me get my popcorn. Shit. What the fuck happened? She commences to tell me that at the party, I was laying butt naked in the middle of the floor, passed out. At the party, I was cussing people out, I was fighting people, I was doing all kinds of crazy shit. But screw, wind that track back, where the fuck did my clothes go? She said at the party, they ran a train on me. Niggas was shoving their dicks in my mouth. Niggas was fucking me. All kinds of shit. At 14. And these were my friends. And one guy, he tried to get on me or shove his in my mouth. And I punched him. Told him to get the fuck up off me. I don't remember none of that shit. It happened to me, but I don't remember it happening to me, and that's my only saving grace probably. And I'm like, the fuck? I just got off the phone with this dude and he didn't say nothing about that. So I call him back and I'm like, hey, what happened last night? And he's like, you went crazy. Well, I'm hearing that all this other stuff happened. I don't know nothing about that. Meanwhile, if the streets were gossiping about me before, they sure was gossiping about me now. So once I find these things out, I have a choice. Do I tell my mom? Hell no. I'm not talking to her. So I go to the lady down the street that I had built a rapport with because I would sell her drugs. And she was more of a mom to me than my own mother. Nothing against my mom, just my truth. And I told her what happened. And she told my mom, rightfully so. And my mom said, that's what the fuck you get. I told you not to go. And I was like, okay, not gonna get any support here. So I ended up calling the police at the hospital. They didn't do a rape kit, so there's no evidence, but there's a house full of people. But I talked to somebody else who was like, you need to file a police report. I'm 14. I don't know what the fuck is going on. So I called a detective and he takes down my information or whatever. And he calls a couple times, but I dodged his calls because I couldn't remember. I was like, if I can't remember, it's my word against theirs. And I was 14 fucking years old dealing with adult shit and no adults around me were there to help me. So I handled it like a 14-year-old. I dodged his call and got the fuck out of Dodge. The story is, and the point of this is that we all have a Shanquella Robinsonn story. And that's fucked up. It is so messed up that we as a people, we would sooner step over a naked girl in the house who had just been raped by multiple people and kiki about it. And if we had camera phones in my day, Lord knows there would be a video. But I remember watching a video of this girl who was sitting in the living room while her friend was in the back room being raped, and you can hear her saying, you're raping me. No, stop, help, somebody help me. And her friend was on the video recording her talking about that's what she gets. This is your fucking friend. And I'm not saying I had a friend in that house. That's why every time I said friend, I said friend. Because I was on the outskirts. I wasn't the cool kid. I was the kid who hung out with the cool kids, so the cool kids let me hang around. Like, there's a lot of lessons here. Don't drink nothing that nobody else pours for you. Even though I was standing right there when he poured it into the shot glass, clearly something was up. And these 3 guys standing around me knowing it. And I'm none the wiser. The only female in a room full of men. Thinking I'm cool enough to hang out. Like, they want me around, I'm cool. There's so much fucking game that I could give you based on the bullshit that I've been through. But what I'm saying is, we all have a Shanquella Robinsonn story where people who we believe to be our friends did some of the most unfriendly shit to us.